Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Fitness for Myeloma chapter. And today's event, we're going to be discussing yoga, specifically chair yoga. So thank you for joining, and I'm so excited to share this virtual time with you. As I mentioned today, we're going to be discussing yoga, its benefits, and we're even going to have a sample class of chair yoga, thanks to multiple myeloma survivor Jeff Abram. I will introduce him and our chapter head, Lindley Sweeney, after a few announcements. This event will be recorded and will be sent to all registrants 24 to 48 hours after the event's completion. I would like to thank our event sponsors. Just 1 second, as I always struggle with pulling up slides. You would think after so many events, I would get used to it. All right, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Bristol Myers Squibb, Amgen Oncology, Karyopharm Therapeutics, and Oncopeptides. So first, I'd like to introduce our chapter head, Lindley Sweeney. Lindley started working for the myeloma crowd in 2020. She is the wife of a childhood cancer survivor and a cancer biologist. And Lindley is a fitness coach, I think is the term. And she also has a daughter who is 4 years old, almost 5, and super energetic. And I love her a lot. She's super cute. We also have Jeff Abram with us today. He was diagnosed with multiple myeloma in August of 2018. He had a bone marrow transplant at Roswell Park in Buffalo, New York on December 2018. And then during the months of July and September, he finished his 200 hours of yoga teacher classes under, and Jeff, you're going to have to help me with this because I don't know how to pronounce that.
Bhavani Maki.
Bhavani Maki. Jeff, one of my favorite things that he says, I want to help my fellow brothers and sisters who have this disease realize that this disease does not have us. Isn't that powerful? So I'm excited to hear from Lindley and Jeff today. Let's turn the time over to them.
Thanks, Audrey. So I just wanted to go over real quick some benefits of yoga. So this first slide is just yoga in general. And then the second slide is going to be about chair yoga specifically. So yoga, as we all know, helps improve our strength, balance, and flexibility. A lot of people find ease with their back pain. When you strengthen your core, it strengthens your back as well. Yoga is great when you have arthritis. It's easier on your joints. It's beneficial for your heart because you practice your breathing. It relaxes you, helps to de-stress, helps you to calm down, get into a real mental space where you can problem solve, where you can let go of things, where you can relax. And often it can help you sleep better. Certain positions can also help you with relaxing and to be able to sleep. Yoga also means more energy, brighter moods, because as you're doing exercise, you're going to have those endorphins and be able to feel better, feel stronger. And in the end, you're going to have that energy and that better outlook to everything that's going on. Yoga helps you manage stress and it connects you with a supportive community. So when you're in a class or doing it with other people, you have that connection with people, having that teacher to help guide you on your own path with yoga is so beneficial. So next, we're going to go over benefits of chair yoga. There we go. So a lot of these you'll see are similar to yoga. Just because we're going to be working in a chair does not mean that it's any less of a benefit from working on the floor. It helps improve your core strength and balance, increasing your flexibility. Sometimes it can really help you get into a stretch and a pose in a better way than what you would be doing on the floor. It helps to promote your mobility. And again, improving your mental health keeping those happy thoughts, positive feelings, helping you to be able to focus and problem solve, increasing oxygen intake as you sit up tall, taking deep breaths can help increase your ability to get enough breath intake with those deep breathing. Promotes those breathing techniques, and again, help reduce stress and emotional response to stress. Especially this past year, we've all had a lot of stress coming at us all the time. And so learning better ways to be able to manage our stress, to cope with it, problem solve, can help us to have a more positive outlook. And so I'm going to introduce Jeff. He's going to share a little bit of his story with you all and how yoga has helped him with his journey of multiple myeloma and how it's made him stronger. And he's going to demonstrate a great chair yoga class today. And I hope you all participate with what you can do, and be mindful that you don't have to be in the full pose. It's getting there that's part of that journey. Jeff.
Aloha. I'm here on the island of Kauai, and I want to tell you a little bit about my story. I had my bone marrow transplant on December 7th, 2018. And if any of my other brothers or sisters knows, after that, you have 100 days of isolation. And my isolation was in the middle of the woods in a house where I was having food delivered and no one could come near me. And what I did for exercise was shovel snow. And luckily, when I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, I was already a yogi. I was practicing with a yogi for about 7 years before I was diagnosed. So one of the goals of yoga is to let go, not just to let go of stress. Is sometimes, like the yogis talk about, that we tell ourselves stories. And the biggest problem is when we tell ourselves these stories is they're right here, right between our ears. It's our biggest problem. So if we can just still this, and we can just become more calm and more peaceful, and teach the classes that I teach, we talk about kindness. And the main goal of my class is how kind can we be to ourselves, and how kind can we be to others. And when I was in my isolation, I had a hard time getting my balance, and I had broken ribs, and I had something was broke in my back, and I was having problems. And I was like, you know what? This disease has taken enough from me. You're not taking yoga. I can still my mind. I can come at peace. I can become as relaxed as I need to be. But I can't get up in the air and do my poses. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do my practice somehow, some way. And I got a chair. And I started doing my poses with a chair. And I'd love to share this with you today for how much it's done for me. It's made me stronger, more confident, and it brings me at peace, because I can get to that eighth limb of yoga, which is samadhi, which is the total stillness of the mind. So is it okay if we get started? Beautiful. Let me get my camera going here. So I always started with the salutation. Can you see me? Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Right. So I always started with what I call a salutation. Whenever you start with chair yoga, please make sure that the legs of your chair are up against either the baseboard or the wall. So there's no room for any accidents or anything. So what I do is you can start anywhere you'd like on the chair. And I always start here on the seat, and I start with downward facing dog. And I come back, and let me just say one thing, when I say bandhas, that means that you're straightening out that limb. So today, we're mainly going to be working on our elbows, our arms, straightening them out, our knees, and our lower back so that we can strengthen our lower back and relieve some stress of our lower back, which will help us. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. So the first pose we're going to start with is downward facing dog. So I hope you can see how I'm grabbing the chair. And I walk my feet back because I want to have my heels on the floor, and I want to have my elbows, my arms in bandha, and I want very straight, and I want my knees straight. So I walk back so my heels are on the floor. And in any downward facing dog pose that you do, you always want to have your head release last and continue to breathe. So you're breathing, and then you just come into the pose. And so that you can see your pubic bone. And this is a great way so that you don't have to go down on the mat until you're ready. And I usually stay here for about 5 breaths. And then I come up, release. And more of like a modified upward facing dog for about 5 breaths. And then I play with my leg. I'll have my left foot firm on the floor and bring my right leg as far up as I can. When I first started in isolation, I could only come this far. So whatever we do in one side of yoga, we do on the other. Was that helpful with the downward facing dog?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Great. So I'm going to do some chair poses now that you can, let me get my camera right. I think that. So on my chair, I was like, I'm going to do every pose that I did on my mat, but I'm going to modify it for the chair. And so the first pose I'm going to do is Warrior One. And so I modified Warrior One. I have another chair so you can see what I'm doing on the back side also. And I always start from the right side. So you have your right foot forward, and make sure that your knee is behind your ankle with that. And then with your left foot, try to get that where you have the top of your foot, your metatarsal, flat on the floor as much as possible. Now with your right arm, you would take that and put it behind your back so that, let me get on this other chair for a second, or you can see it, so that your hand is like this, okay? Now, as we're in the chair and we're in our pose, we have our right arm behind us, right? With our hand just like facing us, where there's no stress in the hand. And now we want to get a bandha in our lower back so that we're up straight, our hand behind us, and we're getting the energy from the floor, from the earth. And just getting and breathing, catching the breaths. And now stay in this pose. And with your left hand, you can put that on your chest and just get yourself straight and forward for about 5 breaths. And then take your left arm, bring it up and gaze up into the air. And now take that hand and put that on your shoulder so that your left elbow is up, you're looking up, your gaze into the air, your right elbow is facing the floor, and you're stretching your lower back so that you get the bandha in your back. And then you do the other side. It's really a great way to twist and get some flexibility in your shoulders, your back, get the lower back going. And you don't have any of the stress on your legs, but you're still having your legs involved in the pose. Am I okay? Are we all right?
This is great. Keep going.
So the next pose that I love doing on my feet but wasn't able to do is a pose where you get your feet as far apart as you can as you're in the chair. So you really have your legs spread. And then just bend forward as much as you can, getting your hands as close to the floor as you can. In the beginning, I could only go like this and just use like my head. And you just want to hang your head. Okay, and if you can straighten out your knees like that, it's great. Okay. And then after about 5 breaths to 7 breaths like this, and remember in yoga, it's your practice. So if you feel like, you want to come out of the pose a little sooner, it's your practice. Come out of it. If you want to stay a little longer, stay. But bend forward. And then after so many breaths, we're going to take our left hand and we're going to put it on our shin as far down, maybe a little bit below our knee. And then with our right arm, we're going to come around our back and twist and look over our right shoulder. This is a wonderful twist. This gets your liver and your kidneys going and just gives you some flexibility, and stay in that pose for about 5 to 7 breaths. And then of course, just like an algebra problem, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So come to that and gaze over your left shoulder with your right hand below your knee, on your shin, and your gaze over your left shoulder with your hand, the arm wrapped around your back. With your hand open so there's no stress. Okay? So the next pose is a real nice pose for strength also. And this time with our right foot flat on the floor, our left leg back as far as we can get it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our left elbow and we're going to put it on our right knee, taking our left hand and putting it on our shoulder. And then we are going to gaze over our right shoulder as we take our right arm and wrap it around our body like such. And then gaze over your shoulder. And stay like this for 7 breaths. And just relax. And feel the energy of the earth, the air around you. And then when you come out of that, do the other side. And always, when you're getting into a pose, always get into it nice and slow. This isn't a race. This is yoga. This is where you're supposed to relax and just be as mellow as you can. So on this side, just like we did on the other side, we're going to put our right elbow on the other side of our left knee, our right hand on our left shoulder, and then take our left arm and wrap that around our body, gazing over our left shoulder. And hold that. And that's a beautiful way to twist. And then a modified pigeon pose. Are we okay? Is there any questions? Am I going too fast or?
I think that we're doing great. If you guys have any question and answer or questions you can answer, feel free to put them in at the bottom of the screen, there should be a Q&A. Feel free to put questions in there, and as they come, I can be asking Jeff, but I think this is great. I don't think you're going too fast, so keep it up. This is awesome.
So we do a modified chair pigeon pose. Okay? So what I want you to do is just cross your legs. I hope you can see me well enough. Where you just cross your legs, like so, you have the bottom of your legs, I'm sorry, like your ankles. So, and then very slowly, we're going to have our palms open and facing forward and just bringing them up very slowly so that when they come to the top, that your palms are facing one another, your arms are directly above you so that your arms are facing straight up. Now there's a bandha in your lower back here so that you're straightening out your lower back. And now with facing forward, I want you to keep reaching up so that you're opening up your rib cage and then gaze up. Bring your head all the way back so that you're looking up between your hands. Oh, and make sure you're opening up your ribs and stay there for 7 breaths. And then come down nice and slow. And unfold your legs. And then come down. And then do a modified baby's pose. Where we just come down, we grab our toes, and we put our head right to our knees, as much as we can. And we're gonna you stay here for about 10 breaths as you grab your toes. And then when you come out of that, we're gonna do a back bend. And so now you're going to have to scoot to the front of your chair. Okay? And take your right foot back with your metatarsal as flat on the floor as you possibly can. Now, the whole idea of this pose is that we want to get our lower back nice and straight. Okay? So we're going to straighten our bodies like that. So you're going to take your left arm, left hand up into the air, gaze up into the air with your hand. And now you're going to take that left hand and you're going to put it on your right shoulder like so, so that your left elbow is facing up in the air. And you're going to take your right hand and put it on your heel and then just gaze up and just stretch your back like that. Hold that for 7 breaths. And then, of course, we are algebra problems. Whatever you do to one side, you want to do to the other. So bring your right arm up, put it on your shoulder, gazing up. Make sure your back, your lower back right here is straight. And when you come out of that pose, you're going to have both your hands and your arms behind you. Grab the back of the chair, have bandhas, that means your arms as straight as you can, and then just slowly bring your head back and make sure you have your back nice and straight. Just keep coming back. And you can stay like this for 10 breaths. And then you can come out of that. So these yoga poses have helped me develop body strength and confidence in myself, and just brought me to peace, into the state of samadhi. So I have a couple more, but that's where we're at. Is there anything else
That is incredible. Let's talk a little bit about that book that you were referencing earlier, and then a little bit more just about your story. And then maybe, you know, if we don't have any questions, we can move more into the more poses. We do have somebody asking if you could please review all of those poses. I will say this event is being recorded and will be sent to all registrants. So if we don't get around to reviewing all of the poses that Jeff just did, please know that you're going to have the recording that you can refer back to again and again and again. And I know that Jeff had said, you know, stay here for 7 breaths, but then we didn't. So
Right.
as recording, what you can do is, you know, you can pause it and then you can stay there for the 7 breaths, play it, and move on to the next pose. So we might have time to review them, but I just wanted to let you know, if you are looking to review the poses, please know that you're going to receive that recording.
One of the books that really helped me, and I use it, I call it my yogi Bible, it's called the Yogi's Roadmap. And it's, you can get this online at bhavanimaki.com. It's BHAVANIMAKI.com, and you can get this book there. And it really helps you to understand yourself, your mind. It's not something that you're going to rush through as far as like Bumble. It's something that just really helps anyone that's going through anything that we're going through. Really calm the mind and soothe you and bring you to that place so that you can let go and you can come to that place where you can still your mind and no longer tell yourself stories.
Yeah. Jeff, move the camera a little bit up so I can see more of your face, just for a more interactive discussion. Perfect.
How's that?
Perfect. I just want to make sure that they can see you because you're saying such important stuff. When you were diagnosed, was it a shock to you? I mean, you were practicing, you were fit, and so tell us a little bit about the first diagnosis, how that came to be.
I was shocked because at the time I was a competitive marathon runner when I was younger. I was an 800-meter guy, played hockey, and always was fit. So when I was diagnosed, before I started getting the rib pain and stuff, I was running about 60 miles a week, teaching a yoga class a week, going to 2 really powerful yoga classes a week, lifting weights 3 days a week, and hiking at least. I mean, I was a maniac. I live on the island of Kauai, so I was going to see every inch of it. And when I first knew something was wrong, I went on this hike where I would have to stay at this beach for 3 days and then hike back out. And when I was hiking back out with my stuff, and my ribs were killing me, and I knew something wasn't right. And it took a little bit of a while. And then when I was diagnosed, I was like, well, what is it? You know, I mean, what do I got? You know, and you have blood cancer and that. And I have family in Buffalo, New York. And I said, I need somebody that knows what's going on, you know. And he said, well, there's this guy from Germany just came to Roswell Park. He's great. And I have to give my doctors a plug. Dr. Jen Sillingas and your crew at the Multiple Myeloma Clinic. I love you. You're the best in the world. Dr. Craig Body over here at Hawaii Pacific Health. You take care of me. You're a great doctor. He's just, I'm luckier than you can imagine. I had to give him a plug. I flew from Kauai to Buffalo, and I could barely get off the plane. I could barely walk. And weeks before, I ran like 10 miles in like 68 minutes, and I'm in my 60s. I wasn't good, and I couldn't do anything. And so I left it up to Dr. Hillengass, and I still do. And I have a great team. And just like everybody that's watching this, I keep myself as fit as I can because I know that one day Dr. Jen Hillengass is going to call me and say, I found the cure. You ready? And I'm going to be ready. I am ready today. And we're going to get a cure. You know that with everything that's going on. So the yoga is just a beautiful thing for stilling the mind. And when I first started yoga, I did it for flexibility and never realized that flexibility was going to be like 10 or 11 down the road.
Yeah.
I didn't realize like the health benefits. I don't have any blood pressure or anything, I'm always calm. It's even this multiple myeloma, I didn't lose it. I was like, well, I'm going to get fixed. And then, no matter what they did to me, PET scans and everything, they would throw me in the machine and I was like, wait a minute. And I'd breathe and I'd say, okay, I'm ready to go to my place, and they'd pull me out and say, man, I never saw anybody do that before. Well, and I'm going to be the guy that's cured of multiple myeloma too.
That's great, Jeff. I love your enthusiasm, and I am excited just to see how, yoga can benefit me as well. It just is amazing as I hear your story. There's a question for you. What treatment are you on since the transplant?
I get a shot of Velcade every 2 weeks.
Okay, awesome. And remind me when your transplant was again.
December 7th, 2018.
Okay. Did you have an auto? Did you have a tandem? What was your?
I used my own stem cells.
Okay, cool.
It was quite a deal.
Go ahead. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, it was shocking. It was like I said to I told family and friends, it was like being on the Jetsons, with they got this thing in my neck and they're taking the stem cells for like a whole day, and then when they came in and gave me the shot and said, you're going to get really sick in a couple days. I was like, not me. My hair is not going to fall out. And then the nurse came in with the machine and it was smoking and stuff and said, ready for your transplant? And I was like, yeah. And pausing in 15 minutes later, see you later. And she was right. But during that time, I was able to get into that state of samadhi. And I was shocked, the nurses, and I drove the nurses at Roswell Park, I'm sure, nuts, because I kept walking laps around the floor from day one, because my doctor told me that the more I stayed active, the faster I would go home.
That's awesome.
I went nuts.
We have another question for you, Jeff. Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, I don't.
Would you consider creating one?
Absolutely.
That'd be kind of cool. I feel like, especially for myeloma patients, you could have a special, what's that word? I never pronounce it right, but I know how to spell it. Lindley? Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that would be incredible. That's a great suggestion. Do we have any other questions for Jeff? If not, we will move into, Jeff, let's move into a couple more yoga poses. And then if you do have questions for Jeff during this time, you can be asking them. And then after the poses, we will go back into question and answers. But let's get some more poses, Jeff. This is exciting.
I'll come back and get my camera set. How's that? Make sure that you can see it. Are we all set? Can you see it fine?
Yeah, maybe a little bit farther back so we can see your feet if you're going to be doing, yep, that's perfect.
Okay. So a couple of the other things that I've done with my chair is a couple of poses that, you know, I just couldn't do without the chair is I would take my right leg and cross it. So, okay, on my left leg and bending forward and just holding it like that with my hands forward, just staying like this, and staying calm. Let's stay here for a second. We'll do the full breaths on each side if that would be better for us. So we're just hanging my head and making sure my feet are straight and the bottom just staying like this. Just staying nice and calm, just feeling that energy that you're getting from the air and from the earth. And then when you're ready, uncross, always get in and out of your poses as slow as you possibly can. So, the other leg, bring it under the thigh, and then with your hands, you just come and bend as far as you can. Come out of that pose. And now we're going to use the chair a lot in the next set of poses. So what I want you to do is, this is going to be a twist, okay? Have both feet flat on the floor. Okay? You're going to take your left arm, wrap it. You're going to be gazing over your left shoulder, so that you're going to be grabbing the chair with your left arm, gazing over your left shoulder. And with your right arm, you're going to be grabbing the other end of the chair, so that you're stretching like so, gazing over your shoulder. And you're just holding the chair with bandhas in your elbows, okay? Just be nice and relaxed. Staying here, gazing over your shoulder. And then when you're done there, do the other side. Gazing over. Big flat on the floor. This is a beautiful twist exercise. One of the other things that I always like to do with the chair yoga when I was especially going rehab was I would lay out on my mat on the floor. So let me get my mat stretched out here. And this is a nice pose because this is almost like doing a shoulder stand without putting that much pressure on your shoulder. So what you're going to do is sit on your mat and with your legs up on the chair, scoot your body as close to the chair as you can. With your feet, like so. And then lay on the mat. And then stretch your arms out as far as you can. So you're opening up your ribs with your legs up on the chair. And just stay here and gaze up into the air. And remember to keep breathing and relax and just stay here for 7 breaths. And when you're ready to come out of this pose, roll to your right, And then just scoot back onto the mat. And then you can come back onto your chair. And our favorite pose, Shavasana. And that would be a nice way to end your yoga practice. Come in and then just into a Shavasana and just relax. And however you're most relaxed in your chair. Is that okay?
It is perfect.
Is that okay? So that's a way to get like a shoulder stand without doing a shoulder stand. And being able to stretch your body. So that you're actually using the chair to stretch from head to toe.
All right. Okay, so we have a couple. That was amazing, Jeff. I am amazed at. I was doing some of those poses and just like even just the strength you can feel in your back as you're doing them. It's amazing. It's amazing. So thank you. We have a couple questions and then some are comments, which is why I'm saying questions like that. So Hannah says, Jeff, you did an excellent job doing yoga poses using a chair. You are a wonderful teacher. It is so easy to follow your instruction. Thank you very much. Then she continues, if you decide to show your classes in YouTube, Myeloma brothers and sisters will be following you and recommend your site to others. You can make good money if you get a good amount of followers. I thought that was a great, just pump up comment. So Hannah, you're awesome. Then Susan says, I know nothing about yoga. When you say breathe, are you taking deep breaths or are you breathing normally? That's an excellent question, Jeff.
That's a great question. Try to breathe as naturally as you possibly can, but never hold your breath. You want to keep a flow. So, that's great. That's a great question because you want to continuously breathe and, you don't have to like that, but just, a normal breath. So especially when you're, whenever you're reaching up or anything, you want to really inhale. So,
and is it through the nose and out the mouth, or how do you suggest?
I always suggest with the tongue on the roof of the mouth, with the mouth closed, and just through your nose and just naturally, try to be as natural as possible.
Awesome. I had a personal question. What about, our brothers and sisters that have back pain and have rib pain and want to do these moves but feel inhibited? What is your advice to them?
I know all about that rib pain. Do what you can. So for example, if the pose says to go like this, like with your left arm, maybe you can only go like this. You know what? It's your practice. Only go like this. Because eventually you're going to get all the way around. We all have to start somewhere. So if it's just like starting in a chair and putting your hand on your knee and, well, I can't get my right arm around my back because I'm in too much pain. Well, maybe start by hanging onto the chair or just going a little bit, because eventually you're going to be all the way around, back's going to be straight. You're going to be all right.
Yeah, little by little then, huh?
Yeah, because the yoga up here, you're not going to be able to tell yourself a story about I'm in trouble or no, you're not, Like I always say, the multiple myeloma is in trouble, not me.
I love that. I love that.
Pick the wrong guy.
Awesome. If we have any more questions for Jeff, feel free to ask them. I had a couple more. Do you suggest practicing yoga every day? Or does your body need a break like it does in regular exercise?
I know people that do practice some type form of yoga every day. I think that for what we're doing, I think every other day is really good because you should give your body a rest. And I know like a nice walk on my days off, a little bit longer, brisker walk is always beneficial.
Okay, great. And then just a separate question, when would you suggest if they get to a point where they feel very flexible and comfortable with chair yoga, when do they take that next step to do floor yoga?
Like you just put it perfect. When you're comfortable, when you're stable.
Okay.
You know, when you can hit the mat and you can get up and you can do things like that. And when, you know, like you said it best, when you're ready, you'll know when you're ready. It's your practice. You know, always remember that in yoga, it's yours. Yoga is yours. And it's all different for everybody, you know. And that's the beautiful thing about yoga is my practice is different from your practice, but we're all going to get to the same place. We're going to let go of whatever we need to let go of in life, and we're going to get to that place where we can just still our minds, and that's a great way to heal.
Yeah, I think that's great. We have another question for you. She wants to know if she's allowed to ask. She says, may I ask how old you were when you were diagnosed?
61.
Okay. As of now, do you do other types of exercises such as weights or walking and running?
Yeah, it's funny. Anything Dr. Hillingas or Dr. Body tell me to do, I do. So they have me doing some light weights. I do a ton of hiking, walking, um, and I teach yoga twice a week, a pretty strenuous class. And then, like tonight, is my mentor night. So a few teachers get together in this big place. We're pretty far away from each other, but we have what's called the silent practice, and we're all doing the same thing. And we've been doing this now every Wednesday for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we've got this down, and it helps us in our teaching. That way we can, we're better teachers, our poses are better, and we're able to critique one another of what we might not be doing correctly. So,
That's fascinating.
yeah, get on that mat. Get on the mat, everybody.
I love it. I love it. Well, if there's no more questions, then we'll do an outro. But wow, Jeff, that just exceeded my expectations. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that time with us.
Well,
And
thank you for having me.
your poses, I'm just still amazed at. What did we do? 5, 7 poses, and my back already feels better.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's finish out. I'll share my screen one more time. So we did our sample chair yoga class and we went through questions. As part of as part of our myeloma community program, we have other chapters just like this Fitness for Myeloma chapter. We have a nutrition and wellness. We have a newly diagnosed. We're going to be launching new chapters such as the Southern California chapter, a relapsed refractory chapter. We're really excited about these. If you're interested in joining more chapters like the Fitness for Myeloma, please go to www.myelomacrowd.com/chapters. Our next Fitness for Myeloma meeting will occur on March 3rd, 2021 at 11 a.m. Mountain. That's wrong. It's not 11 a.m. That is my bad, and I will fix those before I send them out. It's at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, just like today. They're always going to be at the same time. So again, I apologize that those times are off. I'll fix that. But Jim Bond, and yes, his name is really James Bond, is going to discuss how fitness saved his life. A little more on that. Jim has received 4 stem cell transplants, which is almost unheard of. You're really not going to want to miss this event. So stay tuned. I will be sending you an email letting you know when you can register for that event on March 3rd. Upcoming events in the myeloma community program. On Wednesday, February 10th is our Utah Myeloma Support Group chapter. We're going to be discussing how to start your year stress-free with emotional coach Georgia Anderson. If you are not in Utah, but you are interested in a regional chapter in your area, please contact me because we're always creating new chapters. Whenever there's interest, we want to help you. So if you live in Florida or if you live in Arkansas and you say, hey, what's the interest of a chapter in my area? Let's get it started. Thursday, February 11th at 5 p.m. is the Myeloma Caregiver Chapter, and we are going to be talking about how to prevent caregiver burnout. On Tuesday, February 16th at 11 a.m. Mountain, we will have our Nutrition and Wellness for Myeloma event. This is the second event in a series hosted by Dr. Urvi Shah. She is doing a study of how diet affects myeloma progression. So recommended diet, we will be discussing recommended diet and supplements for myeloma patients. On Wednesday, February 17th at 1 p.m. Mountain, with our Connect with the Myeloma Crowd chapter, that's supposed to say myeloma crowd, so I'll correct that as well. Connect with the Myeloma Crowd chapter event, we are going to be discussing the creation of Health Tree University. If you're not familiar with Health Tree University, it's an amazing program, online curriculum, where you can learn more about myeloma treatments, what are stem cell transplants. It's amazing. I learn more every time that I go learn from their classes. And this is a unique opportunity that you can go to this session on the 17th and you can give feedback of, hey, I don't see a class on this topic. I would like to have you guys create a class. They're looking for feedback. They're looking to fit your needs better. So that's going to be an interesting, exciting event that you can sign up for. Thursday, February 18th at 11 a.m. Mountain is our newly diagnosed chapter. And in that chapter, we're going to be discussing why physicians are optimistic about newly diagnosed myeloma. We're going to have Dr. Sarah Lee from University of Washington Medical Center. She is going to be moderating that discussion. So again, Thursday, February 18th, that is our newly diagnosed chapter. A big thank you to our sponsors one more time, Bristol Myers Squibb, Amgen Oncology, Karyopharm Therapeutics, and Oncopeptides. And thank you for sharing this time. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Lindley. Again, like I said, this has exceeded all of my expectations, and I am just really thankful that you would share your time with us. And that's all I have to say. So we hope to see you next time on March 3rd. And thank you so much. You will receive a recording 24 to 48 hours after this ends. So thank you and have a great night.